We should have a constitutional amendment saying that anyone who has ever held political office at any time, anywhere, cannot be a president or a congressman or a senator. That would solve much of our problems.
The Trader Cobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Trader Cobb Crypto Show. Today's guest needs no more introduction. I've got John McAfee with me, mate. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Well, thanks for having me on. I've enjoyed it so far. We've been chatting for a few minutes up to this point.
Yeah, look, it's I put it out last week, right? When I got the heads up I was going to be speaking with you, I asked my audience what they would like me to ask. Now, of course, there's one question that dominates, and we'll ask that later, but you probably know what it is. It's more of a giggling joke, but I wanted to speak to you about DEX. Obviously, the DEX project you've got going on at the moment. How's it all going? And I guess I want to understand a bit more about why you see the need to have something like this straight from the horse's mouth as opposed to just what you hear and read online.
Okay, well, all right. See, I view cryptocurrency as a pivotal technology in the evolution of human sovereignty. It is the first world-changing technology, and if you don't think it's world-changing, then just go back to sleep. There's no hope. But the first world-changing technology in over 100 years that did not come from a government secret program, a large corporation, or some other. No, it came from the people. It's ours. Governments are now trying to gain control over it by developing their own cryptocurrencies, by starting to ban the use of certain cryptocurrencies like privacy coins. See, it's ours. We have a right to privacy, at least in America. And it's a fundamental right and a necessity for a sane society. And we're losing it. We can get it back by gaining control over our own finances. Governments do not need to know how much money you're making. At least America doesn't. Income taxes are unconstitutional in America. It said Congress shall make no laws to impair a citizen's ability to earn a living. Well, if you're taking 3 months of his wages right off the top, you're definitely impairing their ability. And so it gives us the possibility, not the certain, but the possibility of freeing ourselves from what some of us, consider oppressive government control. And for those of us who believe it is oppressive and that we have already lost much of our privacy and freedom, then cryptocurrency and distributed exchanges are the answer. Because with centralized exchanges, China 2 years ago shut down every exchange in the country overnight, 24-hour period, piece of cake. They had addresses and names. they knew how to shut the electricity off, who to arrest. It's a piece of cake. So if all we have are distributed exchanges, then we will die. Or we will be controlled to the point that any hope of freedom and privacy will be gone. So the distributed exchange that I built requires no information. We don't ask for any information at all. No name, email address, no IP address, nothing. We charge nothing to list. You want to list a coin, there's a button at the top of the page, list the coin, put in the technical specs, and you list it. We charge no maker fees and only 0.25% taker fees, and that's just to barely fund our development, and it certainly is not doing it at all now. It's a necessary component of the growth of the people's crypto, and the people should be allowed to have their crypto, allowed to have our own art and our own styles of clothing. We should have our own currency. And we do have now.
Yeah, so
It
that's
just
what the
won't
platform's there
survive.
to do. But so how do you get around the fact that, like, I mean, you said you kind of hit the nail on the head before. So I got a question around, in China, they had the emails, the addresses, they knew who to shut down effectively when it came
Yes,
to their ban across the exchanges. Obviously, I mean, you're not quite so easy to find from what I understand. So that makes a difference. But if it's, McAfee DEX, then wouldn't that mean that the same sort of thing that how do you avoid them knowing how and where to shut something like that down? I mean, again, it's got a
but they
centralized.
can't. First of all, you can't shut down the exchange itself because it's smart contracts on the blockchain.
True.
It's there forever. It's there. All the power in the world can't stop it now. And for the exchange, it's just a portal. We already have over 30 different portals up run by 30 different people
Right.
in 30 different countries. And by the end of the year, we'll have 100. So you can't. If you want to take McAfeeDex.com away from me, I can care less. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, shit to me. Um, there's plenty more because you can't shut them all down. There are different countries run by different people. You shut one down, another will pop up.
Yeah.
Why? Everything, including our smart contracts, is open source. You want to do your own DEX, you don't have to build
Go
one
ahead.
now. Just take our source, build it, throw your name on it, take our name off. I could care less because we have to have this, people.
Fair enough. And is it just a spot exchange, or you got some leverage options there, or just straight spot markets?
I'm sorry?
Is it just straight spot market
It's straight.
trading?
It's straight spot market trading.
Yeah.
And you ask about volume. Of course, there's no volume now. We only have two chains. We've got Ethereum and Tron. We have no cross-chain capability, so you only trade within the chain, which is not very interesting. But we'll have Bitcoin by the end of January, 29th of January.
Yep.
And the second quarter, we will have full cross-train between all coins.
Wow.
And then it will pick up. But right now, it's not useful. I mean, unless you just want to trade DAI for Ethereum or
It's a
some other
platform
thing.
for the time
Yeah,
being.
but by the end of March, so we're in beta test now. It's still beta. It's a difficult thing to test because we're breaking so many boundaries on the frontiers of this technology, and we're treading carefully. But it will be done. It will be done efficiently and on time, and then we'll have a real, for the first time, distributed exchange that's functional, way more functional than any centralized exchange because we will have all coins. And you don't have to sign up or give us your name or anything else, and it can't ever be shut down. And it's all smart contracts on the blockchain, so you're perfectly safe. Mathematics will guarantee that even though you do not know who you're transacting business with, you can't get screwed. End of story.
Yeah, right. Well, mate, good luck with that. I mean, you don't need the luck. I mean, luck, you make your own luck, right? You're working on something that you truly believe in, and you've been a pretty vocal person within the space for a very long time. And you've got a lot of attention in this space and outside of it. Obviously, for your background in what you've done. I mean, there's Netflix things about you. You're a very well-known person out there. So I hope that it comes off the way that you think it will do. I mean, one of the things that I want to ask you as well is, there's a lot of, I mean, you've got a lot of good headlines and a lot of bad headlines. It's a lot of publicity, right? Just the same as, when you look at the warring different factions in crypto, any news about it is, as far as I'm concerned, is good because it brings people into it.
Oh, I agree.
It's a joke or not, they're aware of what it actually is. Now, is that why you say things like, Bitcoin price predictions? Is it really just to get something out there so that people start to look into it?
Listen, I think I have onboarded more people into crypto than any other single person because I have been dedicated to doing that my entire time. Of course, I say those things. Why? Because without being in the public eye, without having the word even heard, we'll never get anybody. But I am well known not just in crypto, but in computer security and as a man constantly on the run from some evil deed, which keeps you in almost everybody's mind, what better person to onboard people? And yes, I say these things in order to get attention, but it works, people.
Yeah. I mean, you've been a master of it your whole career, mate. So kudos for being for that. There's a lot that people miss on the perspective of why you actually do it. So, speaking of being on the run at the moment, I mean, obviously not obvious, but it looks as though you're not on the fine vessel that you have been on for quite some time. Are you safe at the moment?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we're not on the run anymore. We're in hiding. See,
Ah,
for those of you who do not live lives similar to Janice and I, there are really two forms of it. One, which we've been doing most of the time we've been together, which is on the run from something,
yeah,
from the police for a while, then the cartel, now the U.S. government. But see, that's okay, because being on the run means that, like I said, we went from the U.S. to the Bahamas. Even though we're charged with income tax crimes, the Bahamas has no income tax, therefore not a crime, and I can't be extradited. So they manipulated some things, and we barely escaped the Bahamas. Went to Cuba. Cuba said after a month and a half that they could call for return, and but they they said that they did not give them an answer, and it would take a few days. So please leave the country in 72 hours. They were giving me. I mean, that was the nicest thing anybody's ever done to me, right? Or for me. So and that was right at the time back in June when the American warships were right off the fucking beaches in Cuba. We could see them as we were driving down the boulevard, right? That was that tense period where
yeah,
whatever. And so fortunately, the Cuba was not about to bow to any demands from the U.S. and sent me off. But it took us 4 days at sea. We got into the Dominican Republic. Then we were arrested instantly. And just like the Bahamas and Cuba, they said, you got to go back to America. But I fought that in court. We were there for 4 days in jail and then got out. And finally, we got to London. I said, baby, yeah, I'm tired of running. Let's just go into hiding. We've done that a few times. And she said, sure. 5 months now. It's a blast. We have no worries. We have no concerns. It's just maybe for the average person.
yeah.
But I invented virtually all the nuances of computer security. And if I don't want to be found, well, I promise you, no one will find me.
Yeah.
So we're perfectly safe, and we're comfortable. Now, being on the run, you're free to do anything. You can carry cell phones because people know where you are anyway. It's
Yeah.
just they can't reach you for some period of time, usually months. Then you move on to another country. But being in hiding is kind of like, well, first of all, we can't have phones, no cell phones. That was a little bit of a cultural shock at first for both of us, but now it's a piece of cake. We talk more.
Yeah.
So no cell phone, no electronic devices. We have to go through a complex network of true virtual private networks, and with the assistance of some important people, so that you can't trace anything back here. And, that's not much of a restraint.
And if you do
To
get
give
caught,
every
right? If you listen,
pardon.
they knock on the door, they pull you down, they grab you, away you go. I mean, you say that you know who the real Satoshi is. There's a lot of information that I'm sure that you do have, based on obviously your very vast past in what you've done, and the fact you've been in the space for a long time as well. I'm sure you do know a lot of things and about a lot of different people. What happens then if they do lock you up? Will they silence you? Do you have a mechanism that will allow this information to flow freely, or is that it?
Well, that's all they want is to silence me, is to put me in a prison in America where I don't have access to anybody. Like, have you heard a single peep out of Julian Assange?
Yeah, I
No,
was
you
about to
never
say that. Yeah.
will. You never will. Ross Ulbricht? No. That's all they want. Because once you're there, you're silenced. You can
Yep.
no longer talk. And it's the talking that's dangerous. It's speech itself, which they fear. But no, I'll be silenced. But that's not going to happen. I mean, seriously, I'm 74. I've been fighting governments for at least half of my life. I ran from the Belizean government. I can't. Here's the countries I can't go back to anymore: America, Belize, the Bahamas, Guatemala, Cuba, Dominican Republic, and Costa Rica. So I can't go to any of these countries anymore. This is how bad it is if you follow in footsteps similar to mine, where I don't give a shit. If I see something wrong, I'm going to point it out.
Yeah.
I'm going to point it
Head
out.
down and move on, right? I mean, we've all got choices. Fair enough. And I mean, why hold back on who Satoshi is? I mean, obviously we've got people out there that I've interviewed Craig, I've met Craig, claiming that he's Satoshi, he's been ousted, all this sort of stuff. Now, I really couldn't care less, to be honest. I don't think it really has that much influence. Someone like me, anyway. It is what it is, and thank you for whoever created it, or the group that created it, or whoever. I appreciate it from very deep down in my heart. But I don't think it matters. I mean, do you think it matters who Satoshi is?
No, it definitely doesn't matter. But it does matter that nobody says. That's what matters. I mean, okay. So I've had one conversation with Satoshi. When I was subtly considering, just listen, let's just do. But listen to this. That do you realize that once Satoshi is revealed, that person's life will be turned upside down?
Oh yeah.
There are going to be people after them for tax issues, for everything. They're going to be criminals of high order, because this is billions of dollars trying to kidnap him, torture him for whatever. He's going to have a security force.
Yeah.
And then the kicker was this, said, and what if, in that 1% that you think you're not sure, that you're wrong, then you will have destroyed the life of someone who is not even capable of protecting their own lives after you have revealed this. So I go, you're right. So no one will ever know.
So it's a very, very closely kept and guarded secret. This person, this individual, this team, whatever it ends up being, hasn't moved anything out of the wallet for a long time. I mean, seemingly they've got their own way of surviving without having to touch those million Bitcoins, or possibly multiple addresses where that stays still and the mystery remains a mystery. Is that sort of the playbook behind it?
Well, keep in mind, my friend, that these people were around when people were paying 100 Bitcoins for a slice of pizza, all right? And Bitcoins were floating everywhere.
Yeah.
Worthless, totally worthless. Those wise ones among them, I mean, if you're talking about millions of Bitcoins, a couple of thousand is not noticeable, is it now?
Yeah.
And, no one's hurting in that arena, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay. That totally makes sense. Now, a quick question as well, back onto McAfee DEX right now. I've noticed the stablecoin you've got there is True USD. Any reason as to why you chose True USD across many of the other options that were out there? What was he thinking there?
For what?
On the platform, I noticed that I had a look through the website showing the different options and what you're going to have listed there. It seems like you've got True US Dollar that will be in there as well.
Well, right now, all we have are things that run on the Ethereum or the Tron blockchain.
Right.
To my knowledge, the only thing that fits that is DAI, which is now SAI, which is the coin that most people are using. Never varies more than 1% from the US dollar.
Yep.
So you can't pump it. I mean, you can play little games, but with that tiny variation.
It ain't the one to work.
Pardon?
It's not the one to work if you want to pump.
No, it's definitely not the one to work. So, and yet the volume is huge, and it's even though Bitcoin is way up there in volume, that is not indicative of how Bitcoin is used, because Bitcoin is not the most used coin for transactions. That would be Ethereum or DAI. We will have all of them. But right now, the only stable coin we list is DAI.
Yep.
If people don't like that one, then wait until we get something else.
Well, sounds as though it's March, end of Q1 2020. Speaking of 2020, you predicted that Bitcoin would be over $1 million by then. Otherwise, you would eat yourself. Obviously, as we discussed earlier on, that was a great headline grabber. I mean, you couldn't have done it better yourself. Was there anything else that you were considering at the time saying, or was it just one idea that you went, look, nothing can top this?
It's just one of the ideas. I mean, listen, we will wither and die. The way things are growing now, we're just not growing fast enough to be able to withstand the onslaught of governments when they finally realize the power that we hold
The
in
risk.
our hands with the people's cryptocurrency and privacy coins and distributed exchanges. And so this is our biggest threat, people, and this is something that we have to start changing. That is, stop using the dollar if you can use cryptocurrency as an
Hmm.
alternative. Just Google it. Nothing you can't buy: houses, cars, bulletproof vests, clothes, everything. Google it. Try it out.
And start supporting
Become
those stores.
become a true liberated being.
So that's what we do, right?
Rather than one that's just going onto the exchange hoping to make a quick buck.
And make a buck. So how do we, I mean, obviously there's, your headline grabber was about the 2020 price and whatnot, which did very good. It got a lot of publicity out there. What are you going to do next? I mean, obviously the 2020, is that the campaign like running for 2020? I saw the running ad. I thought that was quite interesting and quite funny, to be honest. Well done.
Well, I ran in 2016 on the Libertarian Party. I was runner-up for the nomination, actually. I didn't want it. I don't want it now. Neither could we get it. There's nobody in the Libertarian Party ever going to be president. Nobody in any party other than one of the two in our two-party system. They keep everyone else out.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to be president. However, we can make some noise.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yes, and that's all I'm trying to do is make noise.
Yep, and that's going to be running through to, when are the elections? November of 2020?
November of next year. It's 11 months. 11 months.
11 months
So
of McAfee out there swinging the bat for crypto.
Right. There's not going to be much bat swinging. I'm going, well, for crypto, yes, because crypto is my main platform.
Yeah.
Trying to free people, and I don't know any other way right now. And that's available. So let's try that. But yeah, so I'm coming out with my campaign ads are going to be totally different than anything anyone's ever seen. I have 2 videos out so far. One just of me showing videos, clips of me and doing everything, being arrested, for example, and talking to Larry King live, and the best spread of experience for me. But I'm going to have a totally different campaign because, number one, I know I can't be president, and number two, even if I could, there's no sense in lying to anybody about anything, least of all me.
Yeah,
I'll get it straight. Even if it were possible for a third party to win, I couldn't ever win. I'm John McAfee. Let's get real, people. That's not happening. But I will shake things up. I promise you this, and I need help doing so. And the crypto community is the focus of change for the American people, for our country. So,
well, it's interesting because I mean, it's not cheap to get ads out. I mean, it's not a cheap thing if you're going to go to television. I mean, you're obviously sacrificing a lot of your time and significant capital as well. So anything that we can do to ring the bell on this space, for sure. I mean, there's different.
Just spread the word. That's all we need. We're not taking donations. I'm not taking donations. That's another stupid thing. Here's the problem. Who do we vote for? Now, the crazy people aren't the politicians. It's the people. Because we actually vote for people, men and women, who spend sometimes tens of millions of dollars to get a job paying $250,000. Now, my first question is, what's wrong with this picture? I mean, nobody wants to serve their country so badly that they will sacrifice 4 years of their life and $100 million. Please, God, there's a reason for the money. And people go, oh, well, the president's not spending it. It's his supporters. I don't give a shit where the money comes from. It's coming from somewhere with some intent. And this is the problem. And we actually vote for these people. Do you realize George Washington would turn over in his grave? He did not want to be president. Good God, he was an old man, general of the Continental Army. 5 years of horror, of war, risking his life and comfort, sleeping in barracks and ditches and getting wealth from riding horses, whatever. He wanted to fish. They made him be president because, think about it, who the fuck was there?
Mm.
I mean, we've got Thomas Jefferson, a brilliant man, but not a leader by any stretch of the imagination. You got Benjamin Franklin, even more brilliant, but he just liked booze and women. No, there was nobody. And they all knew that those capable in any aspect of doing it were simply not capable, except for George. And so they made him do it. They shamed him into it. Last thing in the world he wanted, but he did it. Now, that's who we need to elect. Please, God, people, let's get real with ourselves. What idiot votes for a person that spends $100 million to get the job they're applying for? Because that's what they're doing. They're applying to the American people for a job. And we vote to say, well, who are we going to hire? We're going to hire so-and-so. But what if so-and-so is actually paying $10 million? We don't get together and go, whoa, what the fuck? Something's wrong here.
It's just that one or that one.
So, we're crazy and we need to straighten up. We need, first of all, I believe we should have a constitutional amendment saying that anyone who has ever held political office at any time, anywhere, cannot be a president or a congressman or a senator. That would solve much of our problems. Because when it came time for re-election, they wouldn't be eligible and would have to go home. And we would always have fresh blood, and we would have younger blood. We need younger blood, please. God, our country's run by a bunch of sick, tired, old men and women, incapable of maneuvering in this modern, fast-paced world.
Well, the world is changing. The politicians are still aging. That's the thing that continues to move forward. And I mean, that's what's so exciting about our current space in cryptocurrency and blockchain at the moment is that we do see a huge amount of opportunity. We see a lot of bad stuff out there, but that's like any new industry. There's good, there's bad. Anywhere you go, anywhere you look,
of course,
part of it. It's just what happens, especially when something's in such an infant stage like it is right now. John, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, mate. And I wish you all the best in keeping your head down. As you say, you don't feel like you've got too many issues around that. And you know what? Do you want to know the final question? The question that everybody wanted to ask more than anything else?
Go ahead.
They wanted to know how you like your meat cooked.
Well, it depends on the meat. If the meat is fish, I prefer it raw. If it's steak, I prefer it medium rare. If it's hamburger, I like it burned to a crisp. So it just depends on the meat. Surely
it depends on the meat there, ladies and gentlemen. There's your answer to the question that you wanted to know the most. John McAfee likes to eat his meat. It just depends what meat he's eating.
All right. Thank you, sir.
John, have a fantastic day, mate. Good luck with everything in the future. Thank you very much for your time.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you're welcome.
bye for now.
Bye-bye.
The Trader Cobb Crypto Show, talking business in blockchain.